Thank you guys for tuning into the Bootz Sports Show. I'm your host, Uncle Bootz, and there's nothing but smiles for Cowboy fans across the world as the Dallas Cowboys, in a dominating fashion, defeat the St. Louis Rams by a score of 31-7. And believe it or not, it wasn't even that close. But before we get into all the talk about the game, I want to first give a shout out to the folks over at YourDailyCowboysFootballFix.com, where you can watch this video in its entirety and amongst of other articles. Getting to the game, the Dallas Cowboys finally played a complete game, which we haven't seen that in a very long time. Cowboy fans can probably all attest to that. All the concerns about the running game, all the talk about the play calling, all the cries about balance and the efficiency and effectiveness of the running game were all silenced. And the remedy to that was these St. Louis Rams. So I had gotten on this page, and by the way, you can like and subscribe to this page. I appreciate that. Shows me your, and keeps these videos coming out. A couple posts that I had read before the game, Charlie Gonzo 333, who had posted on the bottom of the page, told me to set fire to that DeMarco Murray package there. I guess he'd already given up on DeMarco Murray. And then I had another guy who also, Ronnie, said something about the Rams were going to kick the Cowboys' ass. Well, I don't know if he was able to watch the game. And had he been watching previous Rams games, he might have known that this was going to be a tall task. The Dallas Cowboys ran all over, and it could have been worse, and we'll talk about that too, but ran all over the defense of the Rams. I mean, this was not much of a contest. Now, I know you all in the beginning of the game, like myself, we stopped them 3 and out, and we'll talk about how relentless and dominating our defensive line was. But the Rams punt the ball to Dwayne Harris and fumbled the ball and gave them life. And the Cowboys defense showed up, and I was shocked because I knew that turnover was automatic points for the Rams. But it did not result in points. Dallas defense with sacks and dominating. I mean, just they couldn't block our front line. And this is the best that I've seen this defense look in a long, long time. This game here. They couldn't block us, and they actually punted the ball to us back, which we did not fumble. But if you wanted to take a look, and I wish this was a televised game for the folks that had seen us in earlier against the Giants, and maybe the folks that might have seen us against the Kansas City Chiefs, our defense has gotten better. We made some changes on defense. We'll talk about that. But our defense has gotten better, and I believe that when the offense and the running style or the running attack that DeMarco Murray employed against the Rams, I believe that when you have that, it shows up on the defensive side of the football because it's a physical grind. And DeMarco was pretty physical. Now, it wasn't perfect for DeMarco, and I'm nitpicking because it's kind of hard to nitpick a guy who had, over 200 yards of total offense, 175 or so rushing, 25 carries. It's kind of hard to nitpick, but I would bet that when they watch the film, and one of the things I try to do is I try to watch the game the first time as a fan so I can enjoy it. So I watch the game and enjoy the game, and then what I also try to do is I try to watch the game afterwards, as a scout, watching different position parts of the field and watching all the teams, watching our players dominate or whatever happens out there. But I try to watch different aspects of the game over and over again just to get an assessment of what really happened on that run play. Or what happened on that pass play, or why did we give up that sack. So that being said, DeMarco Murray left a lot of yards on the field. Now, granted, he rushed for 175 yards. Easily could have been another 250-yard rushing game for DeMarco Murray. And if the folks don't know what I'm referring to when I said another, 2 years ago he came into the league and had a 250-yard rushing game at the hands of the Rams. And the interesting part of that whole deal, there was a conference call with Jeff Fisher, the head coach of the Rams, and he was asked about that game and about that 250-yard performance from DeMarco Murray, and would he look at the film from that? And he said, he was very candid about it and said, for what? Why would I look at it? And very curt about it as well. That game is irrelevant. It means nothing. And if I'm a St. Louis Ram fan, I'm starting to question, maybe you should have looked at that, because see, it's when it works and you shut him down and you stop Murray for then it's, but this guy went out and ran the same way he ran a couple years ago when the team was deficient at stopping him. So now you look like, man, maybe you didn't do your homework. You didn't uncover every stone to try to stop the running attack or to prepare yourself for the running attack. Now listen, nobody saw this coming, because if you've been watching Murray, especially last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, but if you've been watching Murray for the last, I would say 7 or 8, and maybe 9, 10 games or so, he hasn't been the same dynamic, explosive back. And I don't know, he's been banged up, so I don't know if he's lost some of that with injuries, lower body injuries, whether it's ankle that he broke, if that never really came around. However, I do know this. I know that he's good enough to win games with, and he's good enough to keep drives going. But he did leave a lot on the field. I mean, there were plays where he was running into Terrence Williams, had him blocked, his man blocked, and he's a very good blocker. Came out of college at Baylor as a very good blocker as well. Had his man blocked up, and DeMarco runs right into the back of the wide receiver instead of making a cut or pushing off with his hand. He stumbles into him and then ultimately carries himself out of bounds. Now, like I said, this is nitpicking at its best, but these are the types of plays that you're going to be counted on to make down the stretch, in these big games. Because I'll tell you what, if I don't know what you thought about this Dallas Cowboy football team. This is not just for Dallas Cowboy fans. This is for fans of any team. I don't know what you thought about this team before the season started, before the Giant game, or after the Giant game, after the Kansas City Chiefs game. But all that's changing, because if you look at the NFC East, the Cowboys are clearly the best team in the NFC East. I mean, it's not even close. And they're one of the best teams in the NFC altogether. Now, I don't want to put the cart before the horse and say that the Cowboys, because anything can happen. Tony Romo can go down, Murray can go down, he can look like he looked last week, inefficient. And the Cowboys still have to play, and my biggest problem with the Dallas Cowboys is that they don't use momentum and catapult themselves into the next week. Next week they might go out and lose a close game to San Diego Chargers. I don't believe that's going to happen, but that's the type of team that we've seen under Garrett, even under Wade Phillips, for the latter part of Wade Phillips' coaching career. We saw this team not grab momentum and take it and use it. And that's what this team needs to do. And I believe if they do, there's some good things, because you got a chance to see the offensive line is coming together. The defensive line, the defensive line was as dominating as a defensive line that I've seen. Yes, it's the Rams. But, the Rams went out last week, played a close game with Atlanta. They were out of the game early and came back and fought and scraped and came back into that game and lost a 6-point game to the Falcons. People respect the Falcons around the league. People respect them. So the Falcons are some people's Super Bowl pick. You know, the Rams went out there and clawed and fought and got back into that game. And so we're not talking about a pushover Rams team. This team, if you can take this, like I said, and funnel this and use this, propel yourself for next week and the weeks coming forward, I think this can be very, very important. Very important. The Cowboys were so assertive in this game. The run designs, and this is why the Cowboy fan to me is the smartest fan, at least the fans that I associate myself with, the Cowboy fans that are on my page, that have subscribed or hit the like button, the fans that are a part of your daily CowboyFootballFix.com, other various sources that I'm a part of, that I've been a part of for a long, long time, and that I affiliate myself with. Cowboy fans, they get it. They get it. They understand the draft. They understand the play call. We've been crying, and my point in bringing it up is we've been crying for the draw play. Why haven't we seen the screen pass, Jason? Why haven't we seen the draw play, which Murray was so effective? Julius Jones was very effective. Our backs, you don't have to be a great back to have a draw play, especially if you have a passing quarterback like Tony Romo. The draw play hadn't showed its face all year, and then it showed up, and we looked like we could do something. It looked like we were able to run the football. I mean, we could have done, this game could have went 25 quarters, 30 quarters. It could have been 8 games in a row. This game, we were just better than the opponent. And there hasn't been that. Like I said, this game reminds me of the Buffalo Bills game from a couple years ago that we went out and played. Tony completed like his first 12 or 13, maybe 15 passes in a row and in that game. And it was just a dominating form. I think the Buffalo Bills were undefeated, and we might have had one loss, and we went out there and beat them. But this was a complete game, and you don't see too many games like that, especially at AT&T Stadium. So as impressed as I am about this game, and now you got to be salivating to see what they're going to look like next week against Phillip Rivers at Qualcomm Stadium. You got to be really, really, really excited to know that that quarterback is not moving. He doesn't have mobility. He's going to be right there every single time this ball is snapped. His launch point is going to be right there. So knowing that, DeMarcus Ware, and let me say this. Let's switch gears to the defense a little bit. The first 2 weeks I watched DeMarcus Ware in this defense, and he looked like a pass rusher. And I was a little disappointed because you'll understand what I mean in a second. I was a little disappointed because I thought that one of his best traits in the 3-4 was how he used to come down the line of scrimmage, and I never seen people make the plays that he makes as many as he does from the right defensive end. It could be a toss left or a run play like a lead left. He comes down the line of scrimmage and makes the play behind the line of scrimmage. I've seen that on a 2-point conversion, which I've heard an announcer say he'd never seen that in football since he's been watching football. On a 2-point conversion, someone make a negative play from the opposite side of the field. That seemed like this year we watched DeMarcus and in this defensive end position in the 4-3, and I kind of wondered if we lost the tackles from him. We lost that part of the impact, and he hadn't had any tackles outside of sacks up until this week. So I kind of wondered if we lost that dimension. Well, that dimension showed itself. Not only did the Rams come in here with the most protected quarterback in the NFL, if you will, Sam Bradford didn't give up, or the offensive line didn't relinquish any sacks all season. Dallas came out here and sack on top of sack to the tune of 6 sacks, went out and just straight dominated this game. I mean, from every aspect, from every point of the offensive line, their right tackle or their left tackle, the right side of the defense, Jake Long was on his back. I don't even want to use an analogy because I don't even know how old some of the fans are that are listening to this show, but he was on his back an awful lot. Okay, I promise I wouldn't bring up any Kim Kardashian tie-in things. But you know what I could do with that, but I'm not going to do it. But Jake Long, I never seen a grown man constantly go from his seated position blocking to his back as easy as he did, and he did that about 3 times. You're lucky if you see that happen one time in a football game by one offensive lineman go to his back. That's a pretty good play. He went to his back 3 times. And let me tell you something. If DeMarcus Ware is Batman, and I believe he is, Jason Hatcher is Robin. And this kid is carving out a nice season right now. Now, I'm one of these guys that I wish the coaching staff had used him more last year, because you can't tell me that all of a sudden Jason Hatcher is just good this year. He's been underutilized. He came out the woodworks, like the Miles Austins of the world, like those guys. Came out the woodworks, like the Tony Romos. They should have been on this. This kid is a dominating football player. And it is nice to see him show up. I don't care if he's 41 years old. I know he's 31 right now. The Cowboys are going to have to sign this man. And they better sign him now before they wait till 9 or 10 sacks later. This kid is coming on, and he's going to be a good player. And I know Rob Marinelli has a lot to do with it. I know Nick Hayden to the side of him has something to do with it. And listen, you got a front line. Half of them were sitting on their couch, hadn't worked in a year or two. Some of them never started an NFL game before. So now you got George Selvey coming in and playing lights out. Playing well enough for you to tell Anthony Spencer, don't even bother suiting up, player. We got this. Don't even bother. Who knows if now you hear him talk about, remember, Spencer was day-to-day most of the training camp. He was day-to-day. Day-to-day. Then it was, 2 to 4 weeks. Then it's, it's day-to-day. He's just working himself. Now, they don't even know if Spencer's going to be able to come back. So that should tell you a little bit about George Selvey, how he's playing. He's playing real well. So this front line is playing well. The back end. Now let's talk about the back end a little bit. Back 7, if you will. Linebackers played great. I thought Justin Durant was outstanding in this game. I thought he was the best linebacker on the field this game. Made some really good plays, some solid tackling, some nice open field tackles. But behind him, and that's not to slight Sean Lee. Sean Lee does a tremendous job, figuring it out, getting it going, sifting through the trash. He does all that real well. But I just thought Justin Durant had a good game. He played a little bit longer than the other guys, because they got pulled early because of the length of the score. But Justin Durant played well. What I liked, and I think this changes everything too, and there's a big difference on the screen from Will Allen and at number 27, J.J. Wilcox. Ladies and gentlemen, if we were critical about the draft this year, and we didn't all see Georgia Southern play, we didn't all know who J.J. Wilcox was, most of us, until the Senior Bowl, and in the Senior Bowl practices, like BWM, that's when most of us found out about these guys. Not everybody, but most of us, if any of us, because who knows? I don't know if y'all watched the Senior Bowl. I don't know if you guys are up on that stuff like that, and I don't expect you guys to, because some of it's boring. But J.J. Wilcox, you see him shooting in, firing in, should have had an interception, had the run back, and a penalty was called on the play. But the way he tackles, the way he comes in, and this is what I wanted to see from him. He got his first start this week over Will Allen. And usually when you're a safety and it's your first start, you're usually reactive more than proactive. You usually arrive to the party late, because you don't want to get beat deep, or you don't have the confidence that you could. This kid was flying in, and he was making these tackles flying in. His anticipatory skills were a lot better than I thought they would be, because a lot of guys come in there don't want to make the mistake. He came in like great job. Got to get a Cowboy draft, at least for drafting a kid that can come in and start right away. in the third round. For all the heat the Cowboys took about not selecting Eric Reed from LSU, the safety from LSU, you gotta give them credit for holding their water and waiting and getting safety in the third round with J.J. Wilcox. Kid looks like he's gonna be a fantastic player. So the rookie class is played as now. Frederick had a couple bad plays against the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't play his best game. Didn't play well. You know, he redeemed himself this week. And granted, he didn't have Dontari Poe out there in front of him, but he played well this week. The rookie class is looking like they're going to be. I still want them to get Joseph Randle out on the field because I think those Tanner runs and those Dunbar runs, I think those runs could have gone to Joseph Randle, and he's a better runner. He's a better runner. He might be the best running back. Not that he's a better running back, but he makes good choices, good holes. He's efficient. He's proficient. He gets down the field. He picks up yards. And he's got a little bit of an extra gear that you saw in the Arizona Cardinals preseason game that you might not have known that he had by his pedestrian 4.6 40 that he ran at the Combine. He looks faster than that. I'd like to see him get some touches. So you might find him active. You might find some more guys active this week because we do got some injuries to Miles Austin, hamstring of course, and once again the Dallas Cowboys draft Terrence Williams. It's right on key, man. It's right on key. The Cowboys knew that Miles Austin couldn't be counted on this year. They've been going through this hamstring injury with him for 2 years. They knew he couldn't be counted on, so they did the smart thing in the draft. They didn't make a big deal out of it because they didn't want to upstage him and grab him, a wide receiver in the first round. They did it on the back end, on the slot, coming through the back door with Terrence Williams. So he comes in. He hasn't shown you that he's ready to replace Miles Austin. Did draw a pass interference call this week. Made a couple deep catches last week, a couple catches. So the guy's coming on, and there's going to be a handoff at some point, whether it's this year because of injury or next year because of salary cap implications or whatever reasons. He's going to come in and have to step in and be a good player. And I think he can be because he's a good route runner. So once again, the rookies help out. Gavin Escobar with the touchdown catch. I mean, that's about as easy as it gets for the quarterback when you recognize it. You got a linebacker coming over, running full speed to try to get in position. He snaps the ball. You got a 6'5", 6'6" safety. Tight end going deep, catching the ball, touchdown. I mean, this kid should already have 2 or 3 touchdowns already if it weren't for the one drop out of bounds, stepped out of bounds, and a couple other ones too. Lost his shoe in the Giant game, some crazy stuff. Gavin Escobar looks like he's ready to contribute. I still got to see this 2 tight end set though. I got to see this 2 tight end set be more effective. It's not effective enough for me, and maybe I don't understand what they're setting up. Maybe that's part of it too. I don't see James Hanna enough out in the route. He's a fast guy with decent hands. He should be able to. I need to see a little bit more from it, but I'm not going to complain from this offensive outburst from this week. I'm not going to complain about that. When you think about when you think about what this team has right now, the coaching is fantastic. It's as good as it's been in a long time. The coaching is fantastic, top to bottom. Rob Marinelli, Monty Kiffin, everybody talked about with these guys how their defenses, how they were ancient, and the science behind it or the philosophy behind the 4-3 is a little bit ancient. It's antiquated. Well, this team has proven that the 4-3 that Monty Kiffin runs still can make plays, still can turn the ball. We still got turnovers this week. It was just a great all-around effort. The best part, because I'm a Romo fan, I got to give Romo some love. He kind of did a lot of, I don't want to say he did bus driving this week because that wouldn't be fair. He did make some throws down the field. He did sling it around, and he threw it with some velocity. You can tell Romo's ribs were, and that's not a pun actually, because I know there's some Tony Romo ribs, but whatever. The rib place, but whatever anyway. But you could tell his ribs were better because the angles that he was throwing the ball on, he was getting some more torque on the ball. And his accuracy. Go back and watch the Dwayne Harris touchdown. One of the better throws you will see in any week of football. Watch where the safety is. Watch where Dwayne Harris is. Watch where the ball is. That ball was put in a remarkable place, and Tony threw the ball. It's a dangerous throw, but Tony threw the ball because, you know, the rule of thumb at quarterback, if you see a guy's name on his back, in the back, the number on the back of his jersey, you throw at that because he's not facing the ball. He doesn't know where the ball is. Dwayne Harris did a great job concentrating on the football with the defender, but the best thing he did is he didn't give up the play. Like, what I mean by that is, when you're a wide receiver, you know, I played corner, and one of my buddies, Bruce Ryans, was a fantastic defensive player, and one of the things that he told me was, whenever you play corner and you're covering a wide receiver, they're always going to give the play away when the ball's coming to them. So sometimes if you get caught and you're looking at the corner, you know how they tell you to turn yourself and look for the ball. But if you're looking at the wide receiver, his eyes get bigger, and he almost grows, like he starts to, expand. When he sees the ball, his eyes start to get bigger, and that's the giveaway. Dwayne Harris never gave the defender, he never panicked and went for the ball. It just kind of fell right into him, and that was great. Because once you do that, guys get their hands out and make plays. Now, on the ball. So that was a good job. The last thing I'm going to say to the Cowboy Nation real quick before we shut this down is what I saw out there on that field from Morris Claiborne the last 2 weeks is I saw a damn good football player. And I know he got a pass interference call in the Kansas City Chiefs game, and that was a questionable call. Good corners get that call all the time. All the time. Revis makes that same exact play. I know he's not Revis, but, all these corners, all these great corners get that play. But this play that he made 2 deflections. One of them he got called for the pass interference, and again, that was not a pass interference call. That was a great job. He extended, he reached for the ball. He extended with both his hands. So his other hand happened to touch but he got his hand on the ball, though. Happened to touch the wide receiver. But the one he made deep in the back of the end zone was a tremendous play. The focus, the concentration, the guy had him by 2 steps. And him to be able to play long, because that's what Claiborne did at LSU. People are wondering why, including myself, why was Claiborne struggling so much? Why is he hasn't been who he was at LSU? Well, he was a long player at LSU. He played outstretched. You're starting to see that. You saw that on the pass interference call in the Kansas City game, outstretched arm. You saw that this week, pass interference, but these are questionable calls now. Outstretched arm, and then the long play to save the touchdown against the Rams. This was a fantastic job all around. You're starting to see some of your premier players play very, very well. I think that this is going to be a tough game, and we'll talk about the San Diego Chiefs game in the next pregame. I know I didn't have a pregame show for you guys this week, but going forward, I will have a pregame for the San Diego Chargers game. As I break down the film on them, I'll watch their games this year, some of last year, a little bit, and just to get more of an idea. There is no reason. I'm gonna let the cat out the bag early on this show. There's no reason the Cowboys should not beat the San Diego Superchargers on the road next week. Not with the way they're playing. So, guys, I'm checking out. Enjoy this football week. Enjoy it, because it's different than week 1 where we won, but there were 6 turnovers. We got 6 turnovers, and if we didn't get the 6 turnovers, would we have won? We really didn't pass it great. This was a different game. Enjoy this. Enjoy this. And let's hope that these Cowboys, this coaching staff, builds upon this game. There's a lot of data in this game. Guys, thanks for tuning in once again, Cowboy Nation. I'll be back at you a little later on in the week. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and check out yourdailycowboysfootballfix.com. I'm out of here. I'm going to have a good week. So should you.